Mario, 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 Mario. Yeah. Well, I just realised I've got the thing. Mario, a Super Mario Bros. Movie passes $500 million globally, becoming the biggest video game adaptation, adaptation. What the adaptation ever?
Adaptation.
Adaptation. Yeah. So yeah, we got the Super Mario Brothers continues to be a box office high scorer. The video game adaptation has crossed the $500 million mark at the global box office, shattering records with gustos that its title character usually amasses via power-ups. They don't realize how much money the Mario games make. Just how can I put it? Just selling the games alone, because they make more money than that.
Oh yeah.
The thing with movies is it always makes it quickly. So to date, the animated thing is earned 260.3 million domestically and 248.4 million internationally. That lifts worldwide the whole to 508.7 million dollars. It is now the highest grossing film of 2023. Well deserved, considering it just tells a simple story. Surpassing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That's not a hard job to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sure there's a Fast and Furious film coming out this year and a Mission Impossible film which will beat that. The Super Mario Brothers movie is the biggest video game adaptation in history, topping grosses of Warcraft and Pokemon's Detective Pikachu. Yeah, so
I like Detective Pikachu.
I like Detective Pikachu too. It's good. Have you seen this film? Because
No,
I haven't.
I
Have your
haven't.
kids seen it?
They haven't. Although weirdly, my wife has.
Sorry. Explain to me.
Now,
No, none of the kids seen it. The wife has. She loved it.
And she did. She did love it. So my wife is not into gaming. She doesn't do any sort of thing like that. She plays some sort of Candy Crush game on her phone, and that's about it to pass the time. She was working, and she works with special needs people, and sometimes they need somebody to accompany them to go bowling or something like that. So she went during the day, and they went bowling, and then from bowling they went to the cinema after, and they went to watch this film of the game. So she told me that's what they went to watch, and yeah, I was quite gutted because I wouldn't mind seeing it myself. But she said it was good. She enjoyed it.
My problem is I want to go and see it, but I can't see it on my own because I look like a weirdo. Yeah, because all the kids in there, I'll look like a bloody weirdo, so I can't go and watch that. So I've got Dungeons. I'll try and see if I can get Dungeons and Dragons before that leaves the cinema. My son saw it with his girlfriend, and he said it was good, but I don't know if he was actually watching it or if they were just getting off. And he was like, "Yeah, it was really good.
I really enjoyed that film." What happened?
You got a sore throat,
Dunno, mate.
You got a sore throat, sunshine. Yeah, I got a bit of a sore throat. Oh, I wonder why.
Why are your lips a bit chapped?
What was that mark on your neck? It's great. I think this is weird because this is the death knell of superhero movies, and I think we're moving to video game adaptations now.
Yes, we are.
Considering that we had Tetris on Apple TV, maybe I should lend you my ID. That was a good film. Really enjoyed
Tetris.
No, the story. I talked about this about Keith on the Monkey Nut Punch podcast, which is your other podcast, which you should listen to too. We talked about this because the story behind Tetris is mad, because Tetris was originally developed by a Russian programmer during the fall of the Soviet Union, and because it was come from the Soviet Union, buying rights to something in the Soviet Union isn't very clear cut. So you had this German fella who bought the rights on behalf of the Mirror Group newspaper, who was owned by Robert Maxwell, who's played by Roger Allam, who's a great actor who I really appreciate. And then they had this whole thing about kind of, well, you bought the computer game rights, you didn't buy the arcade game rights, yeah? And you did this and you didn't do this. And it turns into this thing because this American wants to buy the rights so it can put it on the Nintendo Game Boy. Everything goes weird. It's It's a really good watch. It's surprisingly, it's not like telling the story of blocks. It's telling the story of how the game came. There's some bits that are over dramatized in it because I remember watching the story, and I'm sure it was on like BBC Two or Channel 4, maybe a Netflix documentary where they went through the history of how Tetris came about. And given the fact that if they can make a movie from Tetris, I think it's video game movies that are going to be the next raft of movies that are going to come through. Like the Last of Us TV series came through, and I think that you're now going to see more of these kind of movies and bits get pushed through the kind of the main screen. That sorry,
well, we said for years, haven't we? Some of the storylines in video games are superb, and they would translate into a film very easily. And it was amazing that they hadn't done anything with that for ages. They tried it with Tomb Raider. They failed a couple with Angelina. Not great.
No, she.
I know.
She was perfect for that role in one sense.
She was very perfect for the role. The storylines weren't great, but they tried. The Nathan Drake one recently was okay, but they needed to use a bit more of a source material. But
that's the bit that got me.
Made him young. Anyway, I think video games have got good stories which engage people, which is why people play the games and go through to the end. And if they do, so can get a load of films out of it.
So, video games have probably got more in common with books than they have movies, if that makes any sense. Because when you read a book, your brain fills in all the gaps, and you have your own experience through reading a book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you read Harry Potter the first time, you pictured what Ron, Hermione, and Harry looked like before they'd even appeared on the screen. So your brain, you might have seen something on the cover. So forth. It's like the Expanse novels. In the Expanse novels, Amos looks more like you in the book. When I picture Amos and I'm reading the book, and Avasarala doesn't look like the Avasarala character. She looks like a shorter Indian lady who's got a foul mouth on her. But video games are a similar thing where you have different experiences when you go through it. Some bits might be a bit more taxing, a bit more scary. Only the cut sequences are the fixed bits. So they're more closely related with books. So yeah, it's like Resident Evil. If you're scared to play Resident Evil, and I'll be honest with you, the second one I found quite scary, which I fucking loved. Because the first time I played it, I wasn't that scared. I wanted to know what was going on with the virus. I was more interested in figuring out what was going on the first time I played it when it came out on the PlayStation 1. But when I played the remake, scary, and I loved it. It just set such an oppressive atmosphere. But given that's a different experience to what other people had. Some people found it scary, probably found it scary, and other people didn't. I think we're going to get video game movies now. I think Nintendo are going to be the ones. I reckon we're getting Legend of Zelda movie next.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I put money on that. So end of the year, you'll get a tease or something for Legend of Zelda, probably at the Game Awards, and it's going to be good. And
might get a Donkey Kong, and then a Yoshi, and then there'll be a film about Mario Kart.
The Mario Kart features in the Mario movie, but it's going to be interesting time for gamers. It really is, and we'll have to figure out what's going on, and then we can then speculate on whether it's going to be good or bad, because there are going to be some howlers come out because Hollywood doesn't like video games and they want to shut all this kind of stuff down. Anyway, time to move on to our next one.